Hello,
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 hello.
Amani.
So,
Finally, hello.
what were you saying before we started recording?
Did I set my alarm or something like that? No. What was I saying about like more? You mean more profound things? No, I was just thinking about the
You
alarm
said you
that I
don't
set.
care. What
Halam.
what is it that you don't care
No,
about?
no, we will get back to that, but we don't want to start with that because people might misinterpret. Now, while what is important to us, no, what is important is to share. Attenzione, okay? Is to share and to reflect. I love that term. You know, words are very difficult to describe a feeling or a true meaning. So to reflect, I like that. You know why reflect I like? No, you can't know. Because it has the concept of a mirror. It has a concept of a light because you can't reflect out of darkness. It has to be light. But we will get back to that. You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about us.
What you want to talk about,
Yes.
or
No, I
we're
only
gonna
care about
talk
what I
about?
want to talk about. No, no, I don't care about we. There is no we. There's only I. From your perspective,
Well, I is
yes.
me, and me
Okay.
is I, you,
Okay, go ahead. What
and
do you want to talk about?
all.
Okay,
And
go
we'll
ahead.
explain to that.
Let's get on with it. Let's get on with the business of getting on with it.
This is gonna be fun.
Yes. You see me
So,
smiling?
what's the business of getting on with this? So, why did we
No,
start this?
no. I want to start. Okay, I want to start somewhere else because I think it's important. I want you, if you wish, to give your background. Why? Because it's very important for me. In fact, I'm taking notes as we speak. No, I'm not. Why did you? How did you start on this path? And what I want to touch on this conversation. I'm loud, aren't I? I find myself speaking loud, or is it good? Hello?
You speak as you wish. You
Okay.
can do all the tonalities of the expressions,
Okay.
but you're fine in my ears. You're not deafening me at this point.
Okay, good, good. All right, anyway, there's
I will
something I
let you
wanted.
know once I go deaf.
Okay, there are some things I wanted to discuss, like awakening. Like we have different definitions from awakening, and this is important because this is what got us to where we are. I mean, you know, um, I like to discuss parallel realities and possibilities and probabilities because that's important, practical. By the way, one of the fundamentals, I think, of our conversations here really are that we are reflecting a reflection of each other, yeah, and that we are well sharing reflection. Like I said before, it's the same concept that we are a reflection of each other, and that we're helping each other. Okay, so but helping each other what? Understand oneself. So the journey of the self is really what this is about. Yes, because you're sharing your journey. No matter what you, no matter what I say, no matter even if whatever I say to you, you're still listening. You're still perceiving it. So it's still a part of your journey. Of course, you can accept some things, people, events that come to you, but it's still your decision. So everything. I think I want to state from the beginning that I think we spoke about this, that my path is how the many or how the billions of consciousnesses can return to identifying with just one consciousness. I think it's actually that simple for me. And that I understood is my true path through the many different illusions on earth, that we go through. Meaning jobs, people, whatever, environments where we live, etc. That's why I want to tell a short story of our path, of how you got to where you are. Because I'm sure, like 30 years ago, well, you're only 30 years old, so you were a baby then.
Thank you. Well,
So,
time is an illusion as well. So if you say 30, then it might be 30, or whatever the calendar says or who created it.
well, for
Yeah.
instance, time is an illusion. And let's get back to the journey. I'm going to write it. But how long do you want to live? How long do you want to live?
I want to live as long as I could to learn the lessons, so it's not like Groundhog Day and I come back again for the same over and over. So I'd like to live as long as I could to learn lessons that I don't need to come back for again. At least that's what I
But
believe in.
you're not coming back. You understand that time is simultaneous. There is no
Yeah,
coming
we know
back.
that as well.
Yeah, you know that. So, we have to be careful of the
There's no
definitions that we
coming
use.
back.
Well, there's
Well,
no
there
coming
is
back
no
because
coming
it's
back, but there's the parallel realities. So
Yeah, but you can tap
if
into
we're
those
talking
now.
about time as an illusion and the reality is also
You
an
could tap
illusion, and
into
then
them now, though. You could
it's
tap into them.
true, but while I'm in this one, living as long as I am, there's a younger, older me born now in the same parallel universe, relearning or learning. I hope we're not complicating it to people, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that craziness, that cool
No,
craziness.
no. First of all, it's not craziness. I want to say that that's going to become standard. I wish it would become standard learning from kindergarten, because it would really speed up the remembering process. The remembering too. When you dismember something, you take it apart. When you remember, you recompose it. So we are remembering. So why not start with something that is actually true? Yeah, I don't think anybody. Listen, don't worry about it, Amani. Number one, no one's listening to us right now. In the beginning, and secondly, yeah, there's no one here. And secondly, I truly believe. Don't worry about it, because, like, my wife thinks that I'm a fool. Most people will think the things I say or you say are foolish, except the ones that recognize some truth in it, right? So you're unconcerned with what people think, because the people that sense there's something there will be attracted. The other ones will be totally repelled and repulsed by it. I mean, it would be total utter nonsense. I mean, they would be like, "What is this idiot talking about?"
Yeah, that's the cool thing about utter nonsense, because we're still trying to figure it out. At least I'm still figuring it out, and that's the cool thing about this journey.
But we're all
And it all
figuring
started
it
with
out.
these words, Danny. It
Sorry?
all
What
started
did
with
you
these
say?
words, remembering. As you said, it all started with these words, like remembering, soul searching, awakening, creating your reality. All this is where my journey started. Like, what does that mean? And when these words, remember, we spoke some time ago about sometimes we sort of use words in the context of our life, but have we really understood the definition of them? I mean, reflecting is what you said. So it's the journey started with me is when I started reflecting on these words that I'm using in my life, and
Well,
did I
when
really
you
know the
started
meaning
paying
of them?
attention, you mean, to them.
Paying attention is the word,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
And there's another word that I like to use, because it kind of has the notion of penetrating, okay, penetration, so absorption. But it's really integration. There's another one I like, assimilation, to assimilate. I love that word, actually, because that really, although words don't mean
Now
anything.
that I'd like you to explain it to me.
Go ahead. You were saying?
Assimilation.
Yeah.
Why did you say integration and then assimilation? So where we're
It's the
getting
same.
at here.
It's one.
I
It's
wouldn't
one
know
and
how
the
to
same.
use that assimilation.
It's the same. You assimilate. You integrate. It's the same. It's a synonym. That's the way I use it. Yeah. So
Meaning,
I'll tell you.
meaning how to use all these topics that we're talking about in our daily life. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, everything that we experience is for you to integrate. Everything. By the way, then we're going to talk about good and bad because there is no actual good and bad. And boy, oh, is that a touchy subject? Oh, and imagine.
But let's go back to, you know, why we're even here and what's this
Yes.
whole, you know, journey and awakening. So you
Yeah.
could tell me your side of story and my side of story. Why we even joined venture today for this? So
Well, I'll tell you.
or how did we
I'll
get
tell
here?
Because it just dawned on me, and I love that word too. My God, sometimes I just love words. It dawned on me because it's kind of like, what does that mean? It dawned on you, it just, you know, imagine the image of darkness and then dawn. You know, the dawn that we actually experience in our world, and there's kind of like, it's darkness and then there's a light, there's a flicker of light. So I like that word. It dawned on me. I actually don't use it too often, but it did dawn on me that ever since I was a kid, I was very anti-authority. I was a rebel. And my mom used to say that, and then
That makes
I
the two
noticed,
of us.
yeah, this is why, because, you know, when you don't, I didn't, I'm sure you had the same, you went through the same experience. I didn't accept, so mine was the big why. Why? Like my mom used to say, do this or do that, and my father used to, why? Why? I mean, I needed an explanation for everything. Why? Why do I need to do it that way?
Exactly was
Why?
my question.
Yeah. Let me see if I
And
sit
they'd
up.
say because I said so, and I was just I'd become more of a rebel. This is interesting. So you know, nothing is a coincidence, and we're probably joining in this venture because we've
Yeah.
experienced some of things. I mean, most people listening to us now would relate to that. And
Yes.
yes, I remember I would always stand up and say, "But why?" Like I explain it to me, so I would do it, so I would understand it.
Well, that's a fascinating point that you bring out because I tell you, I don't think I've ever thought of it in quite this. I don't think if I wouldn't have revisited my past in this way had we not been, you know, having to do the podcast, because that's when I asked the question. And when you ask the question, the answer comes. So, you know, I was always asking why. I was always questioning authority. And my father was a very authoritative, very strong personality. In fact, I think, well, I think one of the reasons, I want to put it in the right words because words have to help. I think one of the reasons my father was so full of energy, full of life. He ate life, you know, and it's funny. I once saw Jim Carrey imitate my father. And the Jim Carrey connection was because we were married to the same woman at some point of our earthly existence. And so I find it odd that because he had never met my father. But he brought him up, so probably they had conversations in private. One day I will ask Jim about it. But I wonder, he was like, I'm Anthony Quinn. I eat everything. You know, and that's how people think of him. That's how people imitate him. But he was very strong and very strong-willed and very energetic. And so going back to, I think, well, now I am going to put it to better use. So before like the last 30 years, maybe even more. My God, I'm old. So the last, I'm not
You
old.
were 1 year old. Yeah, you were 1 year old.
No, I
Yes.
was I was in my 20s. And I love that. I love that actually, because don't forget that I'm going to live till be 120 years old, which I don't think is a very long time, by the way. It's just enough to maybe do and understand some things. But let's just say that character did help me. Sometimes now when I have to deal with people, I give them too much credit. Now I'm going to get back to the why, yeah? But I give them too much credit because it took me many, like almost 4 decades to understand, to recognize in each person their unique divine spark. But before I attributed too much importance to their earthly personality. Do you understand what I'm saying? I gave them too much credit for it. Because growing up with such a powerful and strong-willed person, I said, well, maybe I should give them a bit more leeway. Maybe I should give them a bit more slack, to people. Or I didn't want to come on too strong. Let's put it this way. Because there was no one. I haven't met anyone as strong as my father. In personality. Mm. In personality. And that's why now
Same
we're
as
working
my
on
mom.
Yeah, that's why we're working on this documentary and this film now about my father, because I want to share it. It's important to some degree for people to identify with. However, going back, so imagine standing up to someone that strong. It's a good thing. You have to learn how to do it, and you have to learn how to tap into the power, and that takes decades. Or it doesn't. Or it can have an awakening. Don't worry, I'm going to get back to how I got to this. But, I want to mention, there are people that awaken. Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree for 40 days. Jesus went into the desert for 40 days. It's interesting, this 40-day theme, and maybe one day we'll explore it further. But Sadhguru, drove to his office and said, looked at the entrance to his, to the office space and said, what the hell, I don't know if you want to use the F word, but he said, F that. I'm not going in there, but that's it. And he drove to the top of the hill. I don't know if you know the story of Sadhguru, but and he had his awakening. Now, awakening, the way I look at it, is not a constant state of beatitude, where you just
exactly. That's what I thought it was. That's what I'll go on a tip of a mountain and I'll I'll get my awakening there. Could be, Yeah.
No, it's not. So in any case, I was saying the why. For me, the why is that I had to understand things. I had to really go through the motions. And it's interesting. It can, like I said, it can take a day, or it can take a life, or it can take multiple lifetimes. And that's just the way it is. Yes.
You changed headsets.
I changed headsets. Yeah. So I don't have any outside noise, outside influence. So the thing that we were talking about was the background, the strength, the power of our parents. I mean, it's really of our parents. Now, it really depends. Some people don't. Orphans. There's so many different experiences that one has, that you have to put it all into context. So it's like, it always goes back to the beginning. That's why there is no one path for all of us. That's not possible, because each one has a different series of circumstances that determine what one's path is. But the path is always the way back to oneness. And I know that you understand this, and you are on the same wavelength.
Well, I'll put it in a simple way for those, who believe or do not believe where that spark is coming from. To make it easier for myself, I always used to use analogies of life, like 3D world. I would say that, we if it's water, if it's one source, we're like that cube of
Yeah.
ice, and
Yes.
that
Yes.
water, poured into the cube of ice, and we just ended up, with these as different cubes of ice in that cube. But at the end of the day, we all came from one place.
Well,
Whatever
we all
that
come.
place we believe
Well,
we
hold on,
all.
hold on. Well, we're all now there now. We
Yeah,
didn't come.
yeah.
Yeah.
We,
We
we're
have to
still
keep
there
reminding.
now.
We have to keep reminding ourselves of that, because as we remind ourselves, that's we. What is reminding? We are mending the mind, remembering again. Here it comes. Reminding. So it's good that
That's why we. Oh, it's good that we come back to the whole thing of being aware of these words. What are these words there?
Yeah.
What?
Well, repetition is necessary. If you think that, I mean, look at, and we're going to go back to the childhood and stuff, but if you think of A Course in Miracles, which took me 4.5 years to complete, and it's 1,300 pages, something like that, and it takes, it's basically you do a lesson every day. I don't know, I think we've spoken about it, but I don't know how familiar you are with it, but it's a self-study course. It's intense, and it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of attention. It's every day, and it takes at least a year and a half to 2 years to complete the course. That's the minimum,
Wow.
because 1 year is 1 year minimum are the lessons, but you do to study the whole course. Depends how fast you read and how fast you assimilate. It will take you a year and a half. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it took me 4.5 years. But it is not for everybody. And what I like is, when I hear confirmation of these ideas that come to my mind. Ideas. I sounded like these ideas. Eckhart Tolle said the same thing, that the Course is not for everyone. I didn't even know that he had studied it and he had taken it, but it's not for everybody. And that's one of the things I thought. And this goes back to, there is no one path for all. And I did want to mention a little friend of ours called Jesus, who said, I am the door. Because people, and this goes back to my childhood, because I grew up Catholic. I had a Catholic upbringing in Rome, for the most part, although I was half States and half Rome, but we'll get to that. But Jesus says, I am the door, I am the way. But you know what that meant? It's not meant that he is, but you are too. You understand? I don't know if you ever, because I don't know, you have a different background, but I am I would put it in other words. I am is the way. So the way is through I am. So he just said, and I think someone else was mentioning it, I think it was Bashar. I don't know if familiar with Bashar.
Well, you introduced me to Bashar. I'm yet to continue watching.
Fascinating stuff. But if you read about, I like to span between quantum physics and philosophy, and I mean I started with reading people like Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Voltaire, and Eric Fromm.
That's the interesting thing is,
and Freud and Jung. Yeah.
Is that we were talking about being a rebel and anti-authority. So a lot of the things, a lot of the subjects that were at school, I was just not interested in. I left class in maths.
Yeah.
I left chemistry class and I left physics class. But the interesting part is that today I'm in love with numbers, and I believe numbers has a lot with our existence, and I love physics, or to be more specific, the metaphysics, which is what you're talking about, quantum physics, quantum and numbers and physics. So at this age and time, I've chosen to learn about them rather than be dictated, and that's where I was the rebel back at school about these things.
Well, I mean,
I was probably not ready. I just couldn't process it.
well, maybe it was also the methodology with which they were teaching it. You know,
Yeah,
you
we'll
have to
get to that.
understand.
We'll get
Yeah,
to that.
because I mean, when oh my God, you see why this is why we use words. It's interesting we use words, but words don't teach. I mean, this is from Abraham Hicks, and they keep saying it, but they're absolutely right. Words don't teach. And you can only know that once you try to use words to express a feeling concept, a knowing concept, a knowing. I like that, the knowing. I know what I know. You know what you know. I can try to share it with you, but you will never know it as I know it. You understand? Of course you
Perception.
understand.
Yeah, we'll get to
Yeah.
perception.
Oh yeah.
How
Oh, that's it. I like that. Because I was just refreshing my mind on perception, opening my mind, relearning. I did go to Catholic school because my mom is it's all the same, Italian, and we divided our childhood between the States, United States, Los Angeles, and Rome. So I grew up very anti-religious, of course. No, I went to the school. I went to an all-boys school, and I had the priest putting his, hand on my lap, and all that good stuff that you go through in Catholic school. But I was smart enough because I knew something was up. I was like, I don't know, 10, 12, 11. And so I said to my friend, I said, this priest wants to give me after school, lesson, or he wants to give me, I had to do some repetitions of something, I don't know. And so I said, why don't you come with me? And I said, come with me? Yeah, I was already, pretty awake. And so I said, come with me because I don't know, I don't trust this dude too much. So my friend came with me. So I wasn't alone. And then the minute this guy started putting his hand on my lap, I was like, hey, I'm out of here. Thank you. I had enough of that. That's the lesson for me. I got to go. It's interesting. It's funny. Because that happened again then when I was in Hollywood. But we'll get back to that. Where, because all these people that are accusing the agents and the, what's it, the casting couch. Women that are coming out, but it happens to men. Men haven't been talking about it, but it happens to men. Now,
the Me Too, Me Too
Me Too.
movement.
There you go. Yeah, I want to join the Me Too because it happened to
No,
me too.
I believe I was in this conversation. Yeah, there you go. I was in that
What?
conversation with the friends back at school. The boys were worried when they step out of school, and we'll come to that. We'll talk about this in another
Yeah.
episode. Is that they ask us, the girls, to join them because they were being, harassed or
Yeah. Yeah.
possible molestation, on the way out by grown-up men. So that was the interesting thing. So I truly believe, I don't think anyone I know has not experienced some sort of sexual harassment in one way or another.
What?
I had it from my pediatrician, is that what you call it? But I only recognize it today at this old age. I did not recognize it when I was a child.
That's a funny story. I got to tell
Yep.
you, I had it. I also had it, but to me it's a funny story. But I had it from psychotherapist. Psychotherapist in Los Angeles, blonde, blonde psychotherapist. that one we will have to talk about that story. It's because it's pretty funny. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, men has a Me Too as well. Yeah,
the implications of it are,
all genders. Let's put it that way, because
yeah,
I also have friends who went through it, regardless of what their, outlook to what gender role they or preference they have. I think we all went through it.
the implications of it. It depends. It all depends. Like, for instance, if you take my professional career, my profession, but this is where it can get tragic or not. This is because this is my professional career would have taken, or probably has taken in a probable reality, a different way, a different path, if the me that is talking to you hadn't made certain decisions based on not participating in certain practices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, but given that all is an illusion, in the end, it makes me think of I tried so hard, I went so far. Limp Bizkit. It makes me think of a song of Limp Bizkit. But in the end, it doesn't really matter, you know. In the end, it doesn't really matter. And what does that mean? Interesting, again, with words. In the end, it doesn't really matter. What is matter? Something that is tangible. So
Yes.
in the end, it doesn't really matter because matter is an illusion. Okay. But however, for some, this dream, this illusion can be quite painful, and it has been for me at times, and it has been for you, I'm sure. So there's a certain respect to have for that, but we have to at some point lighten up, and we have to make light. What does that mean? Again,
Yeah.
my God, I know. Make light. Bring it to the light.
And I came across something for Dolores Cannon, and it's these people just make things sort of make sense, and
Yes.
this is why I'm here today. I'm just trying to really reach out for those that were going through on probably same or similar journey.
Yes.
That
Yes.
how I simplified it to myself
Yes.
to make some sort of sense, whatever sense makes to me. So you choose videos, you choose books, or
Yes,
books choose
yes,
you,
yes.
or movies choose
Yes,
you.
yes.
And it came across, and that would, an extension to what you're saying is that, does it really matter at the end? Is that if we don't go through these experiences, however painful, or, you'd say, why would I go through pain? And why would I go through sadness? And why would I go through all these, horrible experiences? What would it be like if we don't go through any of this? Then we wouldn't have faith, whatever faith means to you as well. It could be faith in yourself, and whatever yourself represents, that faith. Just faith brings light for you to sort of process these experiences. So if there were no experiences, if there was no pain, then how would anything make sense? Like, it would be flatline. There would be nothing. There would be no experiences. Then there won't be an existence. Then we won't be here. So anyway, let's make this simple again.
No. But what you're saying is,
So having faith to create, innovate, overcome, remedy the pain for you or others, that's the grandness of us. That's the grandness of our consciousness, right?
Yeah, but let's offer.
If we're probably the only creatures that we know of have consciousness. I don't know if that's debatable.
No, it's not debatable. We're not.
Okay.
And it's not debatable. We're not. It's foolish to think that. Well,
Yeah, I think so too.
well, it's not. I think so. I mean, then we're discarding all the evidence, and we are making we're ridiculing the people that have had encounters of the third kind, which isn't fair. We're invalidating. Think of just someone like Gary Renard. I mean, do you know the author Gary Renard?
You introduced me to Gary
Yeah.
Renard, yes.
The Disappearance of the Universe. And well, his whole, I don't want to say claim, no, I want to say his whole testimony is about his conversations with two ascended masters, which in turn are astral, I wouldn't say astral projections, but manifestations of his higher self. Well, we can't discount that. I mean, is he a fool? Is he a nutcase? Are we? Who? If you don't conform, but first of all, now there is no more conformism, because if you look at all the people, first of all, that's where I find it that we are insane. We are insane as a people, but we are waking up, because it's interesting that the world venerates figures like, I don't know, what are we going to start? Lao Tse, Jesus, Mother Mary, Buddha, Krishna, Mohammed, all of it. Yes, we venerate these people, but yet, and this is where we have to stop doing. Put no one on a pedestal. They're just a reflection of your higher self, of the oneness. And that's what the greats
And
will say.
nor did they, or any above divine asked for them to be worshipped or not worshipped.
No, actually,
that wasn't
the
message.
No, the opposite.
That wasn't the message. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's how we process it as humans. Whoever wanted to worship or go against them.
It's humans that wanted to have power over other humans, which is not real power, but wanted to use force over
But they
other
didn't
humans.
come in to do any form of, dictating power over humanity. It's how we process that information that they were bringing forth from the future.
But faith, every word, or possibly every concept, is like a fractal. I became, I think I've mentioned this to you, I became enamored with this Mandelbrot and fractal geometry, along with certain concepts of in quantum physics and in physics, which I'm not an expert, and I'm proud not to be an expert, because this is, what you said before, it's like faith. What is faith? The moment you open that concept of faith, it's like a fractal, because it contains, and I like to use the word also, it's like a presence, like a gift, because you open it, and inside there's its own universe. Like there's so much information and so much that we can extrapolate from this concept of faith, that it's mind-boggling. And that goes back to what you were saying. The one is not aware, is a being. Not a being, because a being already means there's one and then there's another being. No, beingness. So in absolute total unawareness of anything else. So to be is just in a state of, I love the way the faces that Eckhart Tolle makes. Have you ever watched Eckhart Tolle? He's very funny. He looks like a total dumbass. I love him. Okay, this is Eckhart Tolle being in the present, okay? And I love him. He's like,
it's like, what am I doing here? Well, I have a story with Eckhart Tolle going back to the whole awakening thing. Is that?
But he is.
Yeah, go on. You were saying.
No.
Continue about Eckhart Tolle.
No, because Eckhart Tolle is the one. It just reminds me of being in the present. So you cannot be aware of anything else if you're just all that is. So I think we should lay the foundation for the way I now understand existence, which is I am. There's an I amness, which is all that is. and I like, there's another channel, and her name is Witeke Koolhof. I don't know if some people want to check her out. And years ago, I had seen her video. She has a video on YouTube, but it's like, here we go, different aspects. You pick up different information from different sources, and you make it your own. You bring it in. It's
Yes.
all valid because there's only all that is, and all is the one. So the one is the all, and the all is the one. I think next time
And you're the one.
and you are an aspect. Now here's where I cannot fully say that I am an aspect of the one. But yes, in fractal
Yes.
geometry, you would also be the one. I mean, if you listen to Neville Goddard, he makes no bones about it. And he will just say, he doesn't say you're an aspect. If you listen to his 1960 lectures, he says you are God. When he has his lectures, he has a mellifluous voice. I love Neville Goddard's voice. If you've never heard it, go and listen. The way he speaks is beautiful. And he says, you are God. Now, for now, I understand that I am not the one that has the totality, but I am an aspect of the totality, and therefore I have access. This is a good concept that works for me. I have access to the totality, and I better use it well now. It's been 40 years
And that's the power we
in the
have
making.
within that we don't know that it's there, and we're looking
Correct.
outside of us, which is cool. You
Correct.
keep looking outside of you if that's what it takes, like you said, whatever it takes to bring you to that aspect, which is right here sitting built into the system, the default system, which translates in so many other things. We'll get to it, whether it's intuition, whether it's the pineal gland, whether it's that instinct that we have. We'll get to that. But whatever it takes to bring you back, to connect. And that's why all these faiths keep, or even the neo modalities tell you, oh, reconnect to yourself, be in the present moment, be in the now, which I just totally was like, I would laugh it off for years.
Yeah.
And that's how
course.
Eckhart Tolle's book came tumbling at me, when I opened the cupboard. I've bought that book when I was in Dubai in 2008, where I was on the role of being a workaholic. I have no faith but in work, which is not something that's bad in any way, but I only connected with myself when I'm doing next, whatever is next is. So I bought this book. I don't even remember why I bought the book, The Power of Now, in 2008, when I wasn't even being able to read, one page with the amount of hours that I was doing. But I bought it. It looked nice, on my bookshelf next to my chaslong.
It made you seem
in the Marina Towers in
well
Dubai.
read. When people would come in,
Yeah.
they would think, oh,
Yes.
she's well read.
I liked how they looked
Of course.
next to the chaslong, and the title was very attractive.
Yeah.
I think this is why I bought it, and so many other books. So then I moved back to Lebanon, and I've stuffed it in a sort of like a well tucked in cupboard where you can't see the books. So I put all these books in there when I moved. And when that awakening, should we call it awakening, happened, and we'll come to that at later stages in our episodes, I opened it, and literally that book came falling down, and it was all wrinkled because of the heat when it was shipped. It was half wrinkled, and it was a brand new book when I bought it. And I was like, okay, and I was ready to read because I was jobless back then. I had plenty of time on my hands. And that's when I started reading it. I couldn't understand a word of it. And that's what exactly he says. He's like, you're going to have to read it over and over again, each sentence. Because I was not ready or able to comprehend, because I was molded, or I molded myself into the next. I must know what's next which is the anxiety levels that we live in,
Well, that's the mind.
I could not function. The nature of my job would not allow me to function except with worst case scenarios, options, plan A and B and C, and forward planning. So everything was next. And because I was a workaholic and there's no life into whatever life is in me, that book, The Power of Now, triggered everything in me into the step of the awakening. And I'll leave it at that to continue what the awakening happened and why it triggered me to be in the power of now. Wow, like now. That's so, that was like, it flipped me upside down.
And you have to keep working on it. You know, you have to keep working on it, even when...
I still do, yeah.
Well, of course. There is no end of the road. You know, there is no end of the road.
That podcast, you know, we've been planning so much, and no matter how much we've planned, it sucked. It kept sucking on a technical level until we're like, you know what? It happens when it happens. It happens when it happens.
Well, this is something that has crystallized in me only in the last, you know, I think one has to accept, you know, that things take time and space. They happen the way they're supposed to happen. There, no real use in worrying. And I don't like to use that word in contemplating possible realities, probable realities. All these things are true for us. You know, and I hesitate to say, and yet they're all part of the illusion, because this is what can throw people off, because I know that it threw me off in the beginning. I was like, and by the way, a cautionary tale for whoever is going through what we went through and are still in the process of becoming always more, letting go of what does not serve us. The cautionary tale is that you might go. No one wants to go through hard times. You know, no one really wants to go through hard times and says, no, let me get there. I want to get there, but without the hardship.
But somebody somewhere fooled us, said life is meant to be happy, and I don't know where we came across that.
Well, I think
it's not meant to be.
Well, I think it is. I think it is.
The process, the journey, I think we've been fooled into it that it's all going to be dandy and happy and jolly.
Well, if you listen to...
I mean, this is where our agony sits. This is where most of our, most people's agony sits. Is like, why?
Listen, actually, they're both true. Most of the time to awaken, you have to go through pain and suffering. But
the experiences.
It's not necessary. See, if you listen to someone like Bashar, non-physical entities, they will tell you it's not necessary. It's not necessary. You could just say, okay, I'm going to skip that. I'm going to accept some fundamental truth that doesn't allow me. Okay, first of all, why do you suffer? By the way, why do you suffer? You know why we suffer?
Till this point where I've understood what I've understood, which also took me a long time and triggered me, is creating a reality. That's why we suffer.
Yeah, but isn't the ultimate point to learn that you don't need to suffer?
Exactly. But until we get there and understand that we don't necessarily need to suffer and make the lessons less, painful.
Painful. For us. Painful. Yeah, it's extremely painful.
But then you've got the skeptics who might go have references to religion. Or religious figures, why they suffer, then you're meant to suffer, and that's...
But this is... No,
We'll
this
talk
is where
about
we.
that.
No, don't care. You know what? You shouldn't care. Well, I don't care about what anybody thinks. I don't care
No,
what
but
anybody
it's
thinks.
it's worth explaining that no, they weren't meant to come and suffer. It's what humanity thinks that their role is in this 3D life
First of
is to
all,
suffer.
no one that listens to us should care of what anybody thinks. You know, this is what I want to make. No one. Don't care. The only thing I like the analogy of the banquet. You know, you go to a banquet, and this is from Abraham Hicks, but you go to a banquet and there's like food, beautiful banquet, like a wedding banquet, you know, or something, or a buffet.
I don't
at a
like these
beautiful-
anymore. I used to.
Well, okay, then that analogy would not work for you. It works for me because I love food. I love to see it all out. And imagine that wonderful banquet, and you go. But the only thing that you can focus on is the stuff that you don't like. There's 100 foods, but you
Good one.
focus. Oh, and I don't like liver myself. I mean, this body, I don't like. But I go in front and I stand in front of the freaking liver, and I'm like, why are you here? Go away, go away. And then the waiters and everyone starts looking at me because I'm nuts, because I'm yelling at the liver. Why are you here, liver? But he says, oh, hold on, there's caviar over here, there's lobster, and I love
But no.
chocolate mousse, and there's chocolate mousse. No, and you put it off, and you delay it, and you say, no, I have to curse at this liver. Why are you here? And then someone else, by the way, comes along and says, excuse me, can you move out of the way? I would like some liver. Because they love it, you know? So, this goes back
It's
to
a choice.
This goes
It's a
back to one
choice.
of the most beautiful lessons that I learned lately, and that was let in with each breath the things that belong to you, the things that want to be with you, the things that are joyful, and let go of the things that are painful. They don't want to be with you. That's why they're painful. Hello, this is an interesting concept. This is a fascinating concept, and if you adapt it right now, today, your life will change in a second.
I'll tell you.
No
I'll
doubt.
tell you how I learned that. I'll tell you how I learned that. I'll tell everyone how I learned that. Again, as absurd as it may sound, but just the way that my mind clicked, because of what I used to focus on. So when you sort of, you know, like in TV where I work at, I used to do that to my my bosses who were a bit challenged
Yeah.
about which monitor to look at when we're in the control room, because there's
Yeah.
so many monitors. When you're in a control room in a TV, there's so many control monitors
Monitors.
up there that you don't know where is the program out, what's going on air, what's actually
Yes.
going on air.
Yes.
So a lot of them would be looking at the preview or at one of the cameras, and they'd freak out, and I'd be, what happened, you know? And they're like, well, it's the wrong, something happened to the camera, and I just literally go, that's the program out. So
Yeah.
I use this analogy because that was the moment where it clicked to me what I need to focus and look at. One of my teachers who I came across said, well, you know, imagine this life is that bowl, you know, or planet, Earth, whatever. That bowl has different patterns, has different things. So you continue, and it's a bowl, it's a sphere. It's a well-rounded sphere. But I continue to focus only on what I can see right here in front of me, on that part of the sphere. And he said, how about if you just, like, for a change, just turn it around and look at it from another point of view.
Yeah. Like the
As
prism.
absurd as it is, as absurd as it is,
Yeah.
it clicked. I was like, yeah, why am I just looking
Well,
at
it's not
that part of
absurd.
the sphere?
Yeah.
And that was
Well,
a moment for me. Yeah, but why don't I look at, you know, and then I choose what to
And did
focus
it-
on.
And did it work? Did it
It
work?
still works till this day. These little, like, childlike, because that child in us will never go away, and I use that inner child to learn or relearn or unlearn how we were right from point blank, the ABC of things. This is where I'm at now. If that's what it takes, I relearn it from ABC.
Hmm. Well, it's all a learning, relearning. Again, I go back. I know I go back to the same words, but it's all a remembering. Yeah, a remembering. And I think what you said before is interesting. That well, it's like I don't know. I go back to Eckhart Tolle because he just makes me laugh. That dude. He's funny. He's an awkward-looking thing.
I can't listen or watch him without judgment, of course. You know, bless him. But I prefer to read his book. It was profound. It was a turning point in my life.
I love him. He's like a little mouse. But the way he describes things, I love it because when he describes the ego,
right up there above our head.
no, well, it's like the shadows, the thoughts that create anxiety. But he was describing about walking in the woods and how thought, we are really, and I'm getting to that point, we overvalue our thoughts or our thinking, our ego mind. Now, Jesus, see, this is where we have to integrate everything, yeah? Because we go through stages, we go through phases, and it's just the way it is. And the ego mind likes to complicate things, okay? So,
Why?
Jesus, for survival, for its own survival. But then we give it existence by acknowledging the ego. But this is part of the way existence, the structure. Let's say we're not going to question right now the structure of existence, okay? Because then we're going to get into a whole other kind of conversation. Let's just say we accept that the structure of existence is I am in all that is, or in all that, there's nothing else but all that is. Now and forever, there is no past, present, or future. There's only the eternal now, which I like to say it's like a point that you look at from the top and you say, what the hell, that's just a little point. But then you look at, like you said, changing perspective. Well, it's not true. You change it from perspective and it becomes like a long string of eternity. So it becomes, you're looking at it from the top, you just see one little point. You say, what the hell, there's a little point. Then you change perspective and it becomes like a string, an eternal string. That's time and space. So let's imagine time and space like that, okay? So I like to, I was saying that, I think I was saying about Eckhart Tolle in the way he walks and he de-emphasizes the mind, which we overemphasize. We, especially in manifested society, in the manifested world, we praise minds, Wall Street people, and God bless them, and financial geniuses and whatnot, but the ego mind is certainly overrated. And actually, I've come to the idea that the less we think, the better off we are. If we could just...
Isn't that the goal? At least that's what I ended up understanding.
Yeah.
Before, my friends would say, what are you thinking about? And I'm like, I don't want to let them in on my monkey mind, as Joe Dispenza puts it. But now, when they ask me, what are you thinking? I'm like, nothing.
Nothing.
And that took years. That took 9 years.
Yeah.
To a certain point. That doesn't happen all the time. We're still work in progress, but I got to it.
Well, this goes back to my what I was talking about, we were discussing about pain and suffering, which all aspects of separation will bring fear, pain. I mean, if you look at, I will bring some books next time on my desk. I want to put them. The book Power versus Force. Yeah? And it has the scale of emotions. And so does Scientology use this scale of emotions. I don't know if they call it the scale of emotions, or I have to think back. They call it something else. But it is a scale where we go from fear to love, where love is, anyway, love truly encompasses everything. But then there's degrees, joy, contentment, peace, satisfaction, fun, and then you go into, depression, pain, sadness, anger, all these negative emotions. Let's call them that way. But it does go back to the process that we have to go through to understand. So what I wanted to get to is, because of what we were talking from the beginning, like for instance, I focused a lot on Buddhism for a few years. And the thing I couldn't reconcile, and I didn't like, to be quite honest, I'll be frank, was the absence of desire, where Buddhism wants to lead you to no mind, and an absence of desire. And I was like, I didn't like that.
Yeah. Same.
But no mind could be what Eckhart has relabeled as presence. Just presence.
Yeah, what do you do with that? Yeah.
No, because presence is actually
it's what you
no mind. Well, it's no mind.
Yeah.
But it's presence.
And I'll come to that.
But what I like about Eckhart,
I have a learning from that.
What I like about Eckhart, like for instance, if you go through the whole 4.5 years. Now people go to college. I went to college, but people go to graduate school. People do for 4 years. Then you do masters. You go 6 years.
I couldn't. I couldn't.
Well, I did. Sound like my little daughter. I did everything same time she has to. I did.
I couldn't for so many reasons, but we'll talk about the education system at another one.
I liked it. I actually liked my. I went to Hunter College, but 4.5 years of studying a course. I mean, I challenge most people to do it, because now I realize, damn, I was disciplined. I did. That's discipline. That's incredible discipline. So I'm going to give myself credit for that. But if you think that in all that 1,300 pages, this is coming from a master. Now, you can believe in it. You can think I'm talking nonsense, whatever. You go do your own research. I don't really care what people think about me. But for me, the absurdity would be to think that it doesn't have any truth to it, because here you are, especially in speaking about the course, it was written by 2 Columbia professors. Now, either they're totally insane, totally off their rocker. Think about this. Helen Schuckman.
What was the book? You're referring to that book?
No, the book is The Course in Miracles. They wrote it.
Okay.
It was channeled through to Columbia in 1965.
Okay, I got it.
So think about 2 Columbia professors. I think they were in the psychology department. Bill Thetford was the boss, and Helen Schuckman was the scribe. But think about it. These people spent years writing this stuff, which actually, if you read it at first, it can make no sense. That's why it's not for everybody. That's why Eckhart Tolle says it's not for everybody, and that's what I was thinking when I finished it. I said, well, some uneducated person cannot do the court because the wording is not that simple. So, my point is that in all that text, years of study, Jesus has only one line. I swear, only one line. It's kind of like an about manifestation, because I want to talk about manifestation, because now, it's a hot topic. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's kind of like this, by the way. That's not the actual words. I'm just paraphrasing. But, oh yeah, and by the way, about manifestation, one line, about manifestation. If you want to manifest, ask as if you have already received. That's it. 1,300 pages. That's all, because he's all about undoing
and the verse.
The course is all about undoing the ego.
We are the spark of God, as per the verse of the Quran, which says, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِمْ مِنْ رُوحِي. I have manifested them,
yes.
Or
we are the manifestation
I'm also paraphrasing.
Of the one.
Exactly. From
we
my
are the manifestation
spirit.
Of the one.
From my spirit.
Yes.
This is the Quran. This is not me bringing anything.
We are spirit and flesh. I totally agree with that.
So be it, and you shall receive it.
Well, there was someone, a little known small man called Mahatma Gandhi, who said, be the change you want to see. So what does that mean? You be the change. This is very, it's simple.
This is about people complaining, why is it not happening and why is it that way? Well, change it. Change your own reality.
Yes, and let's remind ourselves.
I still complain. I still complain.
Stop doing that. Yeah, stop doing that. Yeah. Remind me. Stop doing it. Don't do it. Don't be like...
I tell my friends who complain on and on, which I tell myself, this thing happened over weeks, months, years. I'm like, stop complaining. Do something about it. Something about it.
No. Be.
Or let it be.
No.
Let it be.
Be. You see, this is the ego. Do something. No. Shut up. Get out of the way.
Again.
Shut the hell up.
You're right.
You don't have to do anything. You be. Become. What does become mean? Have you ever analyzed that word? What does become?
I still think about them.
Well, tell me. Think about it now.
It's about the existence. You exist. It's enough. It's there.
Analyze. Become.
Come back to yourself. Return to yourself. I leave it to you.
You just said it before. You be. You are. And it comes.
Yeah. As is.
Hello. You be, and it comes.
It comes. Kun fayakun. Become. Yes. Oh my God, that's literal translation of what it is. Become is kun fayakun. Yes.
So you are, you become. Well, this is where language gets tricky. You are, you be that thing, and it comes. And it goes back to the law of attraction and repulsion.
But once you believe your being, once you believe who you are.
Belief, yes, but belief, let's get into that. We're going to get into the belief. Oh man, listen.
Isn't that the whole dilemma of, most people all over social media, whatever is happening.
Forget people. Us.
I don't believe in.
Let's not talk.
I still struggle with it.
I don't want to talk about other people. I want to talk about us.
Yeah, good point.
I don't care.
This is the work in progress that I work on myself. Is believing in this. And how I speak to myself is where the journey also started, because I had a different voice, I had a different tonality, I had a different way of speaking to myself, I had a different way of judging myself or motivating myself with anger and fear.
But this is where the mind, if you said, this is a lesson that was given to me about 22 years ago. And now I am applying it. Now I'm applying it. Imagine how long it takes.
Why does it take so long, do you think, Danny? What is it about timing?
No, it's not that I think it takes so long.
Readiness,
If we
processing,
remember, yes,
unlearning.
all that. But it doesn't need to take so long.
No, that's
You
the
understand?
lesson. Make it easier.
But
make it quicker.
however, this is another cautionary. Don't be hard on yourself, because that's the other, the side to the coin. You know,
That was lesson number 2.
I shoulda,
So
coulda, woulda.
for me,
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
I that was my motto every day. I should have. I could
It still is. You know, it still tries to creep in. It still tries to creep in.
It's what do you
the
do
father
about
of
these
lies.
thoughts? It's what do you do about these thoughts, which I'd love to talk about our brain and how we do this next time. Is what do we do about these thoughts? What do we actually do when these thoughts creep in, as you said?
But isn't that what the whole Eckhart Tolle teaching says?
Yeah.
Be present. And that's where it can really help you. But it will only help you if you actually do it. That's where the doing comes into play. That's
Yeah, what do you
where
do?
the attention.
Yeah.
Well, you have to bring your attention, quiet your mind. That's where, meditation.
Back to the
also.
mind.
Yeah.
And you said about the whole desire thing, which was like, in the Buddha learnings. And that was one of, and continues to be, by the way, very challenging for me, because it's just the way that my mind functions. Since I was aware that I have a mind that I'm listening to at a very early age, is that I continuously want a stimuli of some sort. Now, where and what did I look for that would stimulate my mind is what I continue to discipline now. And when I say discipline, not quiet or stop or control, because these 3 commands, your mind, we go back to the rebel in us, we have been given a default system of free agency, free will, where we cannot stop, control, or say no, because that's how we were built, to have that free will. So going back,
wait, what does that mean?
Yes,
Wait, I don't understand. So if I don't understand it, a lot of people won't understand.
there's so
what
much
does that
we
mean?
want to talk about.
Yeah, I told you. What does that mean? Stop.
So
you
I'll
cannot.
come to the commands. It's just the way that our mind processes things, scientifically proven, by the way, through brain mapping studies.
I love
is
that.
that your
Scientifically
mind
proven.
you,
Why?
I'll come back to that. By the
I'm
way,
teasing
I'm unable to process the do and become, a better version of yourself if I don't have a logical understanding to it. So I found the logic and scientific
I
theories
Me too.
far that would make sense to me.
Same
so I
here.
love the study of the
Same
brain.
here.
The brain, as simple
Yes.
as that.
Well, Dr.
So the
Dispenza,
brain-
I think, is. But there's other
Thank you.
neuroscientists. There's other neuroscientists.
Bruce
that are,
Lipton and
Bruce Lipton.
is it?
Well, Bruce Lipton is more about biology in a more
Belief,
broad, in a broader sense, in a broader-
epigenetics. Yeah. We'll come to these people because that's the exciting part about how I started talking to my brain. Not my brain talking to me and dictating me. So I'll simplify it, is that the brain, even in meditation, will process commands that will help to move forward, like a mission. You have to give your brain a mission. So whatever you feed your brain will do. But you cannot tell your brain stop, control, cannot, and no. It just doesn't process. It processes anything that moves forward, that has a command of some sort of a mission. Now you'll tell me, well, stop and control is a mission. No, it doesn't have a clear command. There's no clarity to it. There's nothing to do something. You do something.
Yeah. There's no objective. It has no objective.
there's no target or objective.
Yeah.
So this is where I started sort of filtering what stimulates my mind. So instead of stimulating my mind with rubbish of thoughts that have no value, the monkey mind, the past, the regret, the fear.
We have we have tens of thousands of thoughts, tens of thousands each day. That's why
60,000 thoughts a day.
And there you go. Thank you. Well, I knew it was in the tens of
actually
thousands.
that actually it triggers neurons. So every time you have these thoughts, there's neurons that are being connected.
And that, you know what happens?
And
And you're sending these neurons into the quantum field, which is the subatomic field, because the neurons, that's what you're sending. And then you're going to project it on the screen of space. And then you're going to be like, oh, what am I experiencing now? But you forget, because that's your thought process created that. Your higher self, brought that
and
to
I'll
be.
come to that.
Yeah.
They sit this stimulation that you've just triggered in terms of thoughts. If they are negative and if they're positive, they sit in the same exact point in the brain, which is the amygdala. But now the thought process says, well, they're both stimulating me. They both have a hormone. So which one are you? This is the choice that we make every day to ourselves. So which one am I going to, and how it actually creates the reality into your body as well, your blood flow, your circulation, the diseases, your aches, your pains.
Yeah, of course.
Or the other way around. So that's the funny part, is that when I understood this is how I sort of had that awakening moment, is that what am I doing to my body and my senses? And
no,
so
but
the shock was the learning.
The shock was the learning.
The shock of the knowledge, understanding my anatomy.
Yeah, well, doesn't it go back to the fact that we are idiots who think we're intelligent? I mean, seriously.
Our body is intelligent. Our body is intelligent. It remembers what you give it.
The intelligence that our body uses is of a higher intelligence. It's just built in. It's like it's what actually Bruce Lipton. What is he? The autonomous. It works on its own. It's an autonomous system. You don't control it. So we overestimate ourselves. Let's put it there. But that's the ego. Now I was reading just something yesterday about where the ego, this is in the Seth material. I don't know if you've read the Seth material, the Seth books.
I know of it, yeah, I know of it.
Oh, he's a great teacher. And he says very much so that same things that reminds me of Jesus in A Course in Miracles. Because he will say, well, Jesus is one of the first ones that I read about 20 years ago, where he says, you're far too lenient with your thinking. And then now we are starting with Joe Dispenza and other and Bruce Lipton and others. By the way, Anthony Robbins was one of the first ones that I started, and he's into. He took a different path, but Deepak Chopra was all about paying attention to yourself. But yourself means really pay attention to what you're thinking. But this is all just I would say, instead of controlling, maybe that's not the best word, to direct your thinking.
Yes, that's exactly what I was referring to.
I would also
what
say
do you
something
do with
else.
these thoughts? They're there, so you might as well use it well to create your reality.
You can dilute your thinking. You can dilute it. And you can, to some extent, slow it down. That's the whole purpose of the Toli teachings, is to be present. Presence, I saw him, he was being interviewed the other day. And look at Jim Carrey. Look at his awakening.
So what's the importance of being now? Let's wrap this up for people. So what is it about now? What's the importance about why the now? Yeah, okay.
Well,
so
I will put
why
it
is
very...
it so bad to think about next or the past? Why do you want to be in the now?
Well, it's a waste of time. You're not using your time effectively. Let's put it that way.
Meaning,
first of all, the past can be modified. It depends. Everything is what you think. No, I mean everything is what you think. There is nothing outside
But why
of thought.
all these thinkers or curious thinkers are really stressing and reinforcing the thought of the now? Why do you think?
That's very simple. It's not why I think. It's why I know. There's only the now. This
Well,
goes back. Yes,
I want to
sure.
help. I want to help me and,
You sound
and
like,
anyone that is on the same journey.
You sound like someone. There was, oh my God, what was that rag magazine? The National Enquirer.
Well, I'm still
in the
figuring it
States.
out. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying the now.
Yeah, hold
I'm
on.
enjoying it.
Hold on, I'm getting to it. Remember the National Enquirer?
Yes.
It was inquiring minds want to know. Inquiring that way. I think that was one of the at the time.
The inquiring minds would like to know today.
Well, okay, but then then this opens up a fractal. This is what we were talking about, fractals. There's only the now. That's the whole point of the power of now, right? And backed by
But
science.
in our thoughts, the past and the future also exist because we're
Matter.
replaying these.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. What matters is if you go back to that. There's only the now. It's true. You can get caught in that illusion, in that trap. It's a trick. It's a trick. But that's, I guess, what Toli and Buddha and so the power of now is. There's only the now. Now, it's hard to experience it while you're in a physically oriented body, but that is the aim, to be totally present. And I guess the more you expand your presence, the more you become part of all that is. And the less
Yeah, I got that tattooed. I'm part of all that is.
And you're playing a part. Isn't that funny? You are playing a part.
That brings us to, I also was very curious what Dolores Cannon was talking about, that how you create your own reality, and this reality is your movie,
true.
and you've got extras, and
Yeah.
you've got all these events
Well,
happening.
why don't we talk about that next time? Because that will match up with Bashar, who, but many others. But what story are you telling yourself?
Yes.
What's your story? What's
Yeah.
your story? What's your story?
I like that.
That's a good title. What's your story? Huh, interesting.
So,
Yellow.
Danny,
Yes.
that's been exciting. How do you say
Yeah.
goodbye? So, how do we say goodbye until the next one?
How about we don't say anything?
Yeah, to be continued.
No, I was
Inshallah.
joking. No, I was joking. No, well, I don't like goodbyes. So, but I like that.
Yeah.
Until the next time, yellow. Until the next time. See you soon. Goodbye.